Coming down to the wire on the midterms, one of the most important and highly anticipated and highly watched races is out there for Senate in Pennsylvania between two less than savory candidates, to say the least. Like, for the Republican side, there's not a lot of buzz behind him, okay? Dr. Oz is out there who nobody really wants to pay attention to. And then you have John Fetterman, the current lieutenant governor, sorry, this is in Canada, lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania, and somebody whose brain might actually be worse than Joe Biden's. You might think that might be a bit of a stretch, but this dude needs subtitles wherever the fuck he goes. Like, there is nothing going on between those ears at this point, and that's a big dude, and if he ever decides that he's just gonna lose it one day, there's a lot of people that are going out. Just ask that one black guy who was walking through his neighborhood and then got accosted by big old Fetterman there with a shotgun. Hey man, that's in his past. Something I've talked about before a long time ago. But this dude is unhinged, and some people are finally asking questions. Now, I think all of this media coverage, especially when it comes from the right side of this type of stuff, they are focusing specifically on John Fetterman, okay? They aren't pumping up Oz because, well, Oz needs all the help that he can get because he's a stalking rhino. Let's call it exactly what it is, okay? That guy's just waiting to make milquetoast Mitt Romney-esque votes in the Senate where everybody can go, oh, fuck, this is who we've got for 6 years, son of a bitch. Would he be better than Fetterman? Yeah, of course. Is cancer better than AIDS? Pick your poison. But if Fetterman gets in, okay, now I can understand why people were going so hard on him, because I always thought, yeah, if you pay so much attention to him, I remember what was happening in 2016. All of the coverage was on Trump, and what happened? He won. All of the coverage was also on Trump in 2020, and he... Anyways, NBC News journalist Dasha Burns' report on Democrat John Fetterman's closed captioning interview aids goes unsupported by network. Yeah, now they're finally starting to realize that, holy fuck, there is something wrong with this dude, because he just recently had like a stroke or something like that. He won't debate Oz, which that's one thing I've definitely got to give, Dr. Oz out there. He's definitely a good articulator. He's very good when it comes to public speaking. He's just not all that arousing when it comes to the conservative base, especially the movement that's going on within it. But when it comes to memes and social media, Fetterman or whoever's controlling the Twitter account, especially right now, if he's at a point where he's basically drooling wherever the fuck he goes, they do a pretty decent job, okay? But now that mass media is coming out and saying that this dude's brain ain't working all that great, there's some problems that need addressing. NBC News journalist Dasha Burns' Tuesday report on Democrat Senate candidate John Fetterman's use of closed captioning that aided his interview with Burns was immediately counteracted and framed as speculative by the network following the report. Debut on NBC News Nightly Evening News. Yeah, our dude speaks English, okay? Even though you might think that he would speak the dark tongue or whatever orcs do in Lord of the Rings. But no, he's made many public appearances across his long political career, and he's never required, especially for a sit-down interview, closed captioning. It's because his brain don't fucking work anymore. Let's keep it a buck. Scathing report by Burns, an employee of NBC News for over 6 years, went unsupported by her network after she conducted an interview with the Pennsylvania Democrat, which highlighted Fetterman's need for closed captioning to understand the questions Burns asked. Fetterman had a stroke in May and has not fully recovered. Oh, that's alright. It's fine for the president. It should be fine for the Senate. He appears to still struggle with auditory processing 5 months later, and he's still on the ballot. What the fuck is going on? Wednesday morning, Burns appeared on NBC News morning show today with Savannah Guthrie to speak about her interview with Fetterman. Oh yes, Savannah Guthrie, NBC's very own Baghdad Bob. Nothing to see here. After Burns' report, Guthrie's follow-up question casts doubt on Burns' reporting by suggesting Burns' interview experience was outlier among many other with the candidate. Okay, since then, other journalists who have also dealt with Fetterman came forward to say they had a different experience. Oh, see, yours is just a one-off. Okay, this guy's totally fine. His head doesn't look like a destroyed irrigation system up there. Okay, there's not a bunch of fucking leaks that are up there. He's totally fine and 100% coherent. Don't worry about any of this stuff. Don't pay attention to your lying eyes. Listen to what we have to say. Burns defended her interview with Fetterman by revealing that the candidate's first live in-person interview was with Burns and not over a remote video conference. Yeah, because those have been a lot of the interviews that he's been giving out right now. And it's mostly been with his wife at his side, so that definitely isn't troubling at all. Is she also going to be in the Senate? Is she going to be the one casting the votes? Is this like late stage FDR while he was in office? Like, what are we doing here? Fetterman could also use a crutch without much notice during remote interviews with reporters. He is unwell, okay? Like, this is a ticking time bomb if he is to be elected, because you take a look at the polls that are out there right now, and it's about neck and neck. We can only report our own interview, right? Burns justified her report. According to the campaign itself, our team was the first to be in the room with Fetterman for an interview rather than via remote video conference. Burns added her entire interview team. Notice that without closed captioning, Fetterman was unable properly to process the conversation. Wow. Holy. Myself, my producer, and our crew did find the small talk before the captioning was difficult because of the auditory processing issues I mentioned. Can't even keep up with small talk. What are we doing here? Now, stroke experts do say that this does not mean, okay? This doesn't mean, okay? It's not 100% certain, okay? These skills might come back to him, you know, basic conversational skills. That might be important for a sitting member of Congress, a representative of the people of Pennsylvania. Fucking Christ. This doesn't mean that his memory or cognition is impaired and that he can fully recover from this. Yeah, just try again next time. Okay, 6 years from now. Okay, if everything's going to be fine and on the up and up, fucking wait this one out, dude. You are not the candidate right now. And once the closed captioning was on, he was able to fully understand questions throughout the 25-minute interview. Great, that's wonderful. I'm sure everybody will just go ahead and accommodate him if he is to be elected to the Senate. Okay, 49 other people just have to speak, and he'll have to be dictated to. This doesn't seem like a gigantic inconvenience, and maybe not the best person for the position. Just saying, which we publish in full online later today. I ain't watching any of that fucking nonsense. Guthrie's Wednesday interview was not the only cleanup session by NBC News. The night prior, NBC hosted Fetterman on The Last Word with Lawrence and O'Donnell in the 10 p.m. hour. 16 people probably seen that. O'Donnell prefaced his interview with Fetterman by comparing the Senate candidate to former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt in a wheelchair. That's not good, because at the end of his presidency, most people were noting that it was basically his wife running the White House, and that's not a time that was looked upon fondly. Let's just say that, and let's just make that clear. Yes, kids, there was once a president who was elected 4 times in a row in a wheelchair. Not the entire time, but it's Lawrence O'Donnell who is on MSNBC for a reason, not on the fucking big boy network. Lion hack. Franklin Roosevelt brought the country out of its worst economic depression, actually elongated it by about 8 years, thanks to New Deal, in our history in that wheelchair. And he went on to win World War II in that wheelchair. No, he did. Did you miss the point where he was out of office and then Eisenhower had to drop the bomb in order for it to be done? Just wondering, hey, hi. That kind of empathy and essence of the Fetterman Senate campaign is why John Fetterman, a lifetime resident of Pennsylvania, claims he knows Pennsylvania voters better than Republican opponent Mehmet Oz. During O'Donnell's interview, Fetterman's eyes looked away from the camera to seemingly read closed captioning on a device to the lower right. Lord have mercy. The same visual pattern of Fetterman's eyes appears to be reading closed caption was visible in the Burns interview. I'm gonna be a lot better in January, Fetterman promised when he was asked about his health 5 months after the stroke. How do you even know that? Neither NBC News' Today Show or MSNBC's Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell responded to comment about not standing by its journalistic reports. Yep, of course not. No, everything is fine. Don't worry about it. Don't pay attention. Everything is fine. Nothing to see here. O'Donnell was not only establishment media personality to defend the Democratic candidate, Kara Swisher. I don't know who that is. A contributing editor at New York Times, New York Post, New York Journal. What New York are we talking about? Scolded Burns reporting as false nonsense. Oh, okay. That's fine. Sorry to say, but I talked to Fetterman for over an hour without stop or any aids, and this is just nonsense. Maybe this reporter is just bad at small talk. Or maybe you're trying to usher a stroke patient into the fucking Senate because you guys backed a lame horse. For fuck's sakes. Adam Rogers with Business Insider slammed Burns for making up a storyline. Any news outlets genuinely wondering about his health could send a health medicine reporter. He said, maybe don't just invent a storyline. Well, they could. Or he could just go out in public and then just put on a show that, he's definitely fine and he's definitely the best candidate for the people of Pennsylvania. But why isn't he doing that either? Interesting. Throughout the Senate campaign, the recovering Fetterman has made numerous gaffes. We know that was going to be a tight race, he said last week in Murraysville during a volunteer kickoff event. You're kind of used to it with Biden when it comes to just single word gaffes. Like, that would just be a regular day for Biden, okay? If he said tight rice and then he just went down and fucked a box of Uncle Ben's, nobody would really pay that much of attention. It's just Joe being Joe. Fetterman has defended his mental health and inability to properly function as a potential senator by attacking Oz. Oz lies about my health. That's the real here, he told MSNBC's Joy Reid last week. Cool, that's the real here. Okay, well, what about the real over there, or up here? Dr. Oz is a very, very big difference in what really matters here as Democrats here in Pennsylvania, too, Fetterman said another time. Great. He's going to be a guy voting on where your tax dollars go. Great. Wonderful. Fantastic. He's going to have the last word on so many other important bills and potential laws that'll be out there. Sounds great. Does he get to have his very own hoodie with a Senate pin on it? That would be great. Wouldn't want to be discriminatory against somebody whose fucking brain don't work. National Republican Senatorial Committee spokesperson Jonathan Turcotte told Breitbart News last week that Fetterman refuses to tell the truth and release his medical records. No, just send a health or a medical reporter, as according to Business Insider's Adam Rogers. It's simple as that. Don't worry about it. He'll get to it. He'll release his records when he feels fine about it, okay? Or when they have to provide an obituary. Fetterman continues to mislead voters about his health. He should be transparent for once and release his medical records immediately. Yeah, but that would be like work and shit, okay? Like, he could just go out there and take softball interviews from NBC. Just not those reporters at NBC. Or maybe MSNBC. Or maybe Joy Reid will have him back again and he'll just pet him on the head and tell him everything will be okay and he can just have his own drool bag installed. It'll all be wonderful and fantastic, okay? That is it. The fact that this dude can barely even fucking function. Like, I feel bad for him, okay? If he wasn't running for Senate, he would definitely have my sympathy because strokes, that's some real shit that's out there. But the fact that he is just unironically continuing to run for Senate saying, I'll be better by January. Sure thing, pal. That's definitely what happens with stroke patients. They just immediately recover and everything's just all copacetic and nothing further continues to happen in order to detriment their health. Right, yeah, no, definitely. I understand. But that's what's going on there. And this would normally sink a campaign, but he's running against Dr. Oz, and you don't even see a picture of that motherfucker in here at all whatsoever. I'd prefer that girl run for the Senate, because at least she was doing something honest about any of this stuff. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.